because of the people, who do show up. And there are a lot of people who show up in this community who really care. And it's just being careful that we don't lose our way when we care so much about things, that we have a vision that can become narrow-minded the way things should be.
Yeah.
And so I think there's always that balance between, having some level of willingness to look at things in different ways, because that's part of service. Respecting someone else's opinion, understanding that what I think, there might be something out there that changes my mind. This might be a great idea, but boy, maybe you're going to come up with something that I've never even thought of. And that's, I think, that, and I tend to, I've done a lot of talks about emotional intelligence because it's so important for people. More than anything, I think emotional intelligence, it's a mistake that we don't teach it in schools.
It is.
Because it can make or break someone. It really can.
It's how you deal with your life.
That's right, or how you destroy your life.
Or how you destroy it. Yeah.
Due to the lack of it. So I think that if we come from that place of, at the end of the day, that we ultimately pretty much want the same things. We want to feel like we're good people. We want to be loved. We want to love. We want to feel like we make a difference. All that great stuff. So how do we get there? Truly get there, in the most positive, light-filled way, and not fall prey to our fears, not fall prey to our egos of, I know better than you. And
well, how do we do that in Santa Monica, for example? I mean, we're a microcosm of really what's happening at a federal level, but it's manageable here to some degree, right? But we experience it. We experience the polarity. We experience the bitterness sometimes that can one, prevent things from getting done, but two, it's also just not a nice way of being.
No,
it doesn't feel good.
Yeah.
People make ad hominem attacks constantly, right? Which is, in my opinion, I guess, if you're attacking, it can be construed as childish if you're name calling in a sense.
Absolutely.
So it's that.
And we've seen that on every level, haven't we?
Why? How do adults still do that? How are we name calling people instead of knowing that the end result is to get to common ground, to find consensus? You can't always get what you want. Not everything that comes out is going to be something you love. Is it manageable? It's a give and take, and we have to play nicely together. How do we get there in Santa Monica?
So, maybe some people are not going to like this. So, the council have to go to school, basically. They have to go to ethics class, ethics teaching, training, whatever you want to call it. And wouldn't it be great if there was a module that was emotional intelligence, that teaches a certain level of decorum, that teaches a way to be graceful and treat people well, and because we learn from our leaders. We do. And we've seen the best and worst of them, especially in this time.
Yeah.
So I think that, but I'm going to step back from that because I'm taking off my chamber hat for a second. I'm putting my little spiritual hat on. I think that we have no power over anyone else. We don't. And we can sit here and talk about what we think everyone else should do all day long. We can do that. And there's a lot that needs to be done. But I think part of it is looking to ourselves. Just how can I be the very best person I can be today? And how can I put my ego aside to be more open and available in a really authentic way?
Yeah.
And I think that's, if I, in my next iteration, my next chapter, I've talked to a lot of people about doing different types of training, teaching. I love to teach. So I think that is a worthy training session of people really understanding how they operate and what are those things, what are those triggers. You said, why do people act like that? Because they're triggered, whether it's from something that just happened, but it manifests from a deep place in themselves that's impoverished in some ways. People don't react like that when they're empowered, when they feel abundant. They just don't. So we lose that ability to feel like that, and what we do is we react. We just strike out because we're feeling, almost like a baby. You see a baby who's gets swaddled because they're frantic, right? You swaddle those babies. They're like, ah! And you take the baby, you swaddle them, you hold them down, and you say, you're safe, you're loved. And I think that each one of our counselors from time to time probably need to be swaddled. It'd probably be a good idea, but not.
Well, all forms of leadership. I think it's a really hard job.
It's a very
really
hard
demanding.
job.
Emotionally, you have to really have thick skin to be able to handle the type of emails that they're getting and the type of things that people say to them. You have to go in there knowing a certain set of criteria in order to just step into that role.
Right.
So, but everyone needs that, I think, love and support to some degree.
Everyone needs that. And also they have to learn, I was speaking to someone this morning about some of this kind of stuff, and I said I mentor young girls, which I love to do, help them sort of find themselves. And one of them asked me, what is one of the most important things I've learned in my career? And I said, how to disappoint people. And certainly counsel, that's a very important thing to learn, because you will not make everyone happy ever. One of the counsels said to me, she used to say it all the time, and I used to laugh. She says, I know I've done my job when everyone walks away from the table unhappy. So you have to learn how to disappoint people. In the chamber, I've had to learn how to disappoint. In politics, we've had to learn to disappoint, because everyone has opinions on all sides of the fence.
Yeah.
So you go that way, and those people are unhappy.
And can we accept that? Can everyone learn to accept that today didn't go your way? Right? Or yes,
Or you got a piece of it. Maybe, can you accept part of it? Do you have to have the whole pie?
Right.
Or can you get a slice?
Right. Is a slice okay? And maybe next time you'll get more of what you want, but knowing that it's a give and take.
Yeah, or maybe you'll bring the pie to the party next time.
So why